next panel is about skill agility fueling growth and aspirations in an AI era. So we had a chat amongst ourselves about trying to figure out that what should we really be discussing here. And we had an interesting discussion. But we thought we would start off with just maybe a quick minute or two from each of the panelists on what your initial views are. You all represent different sectors, different industries. We thought it would be an interesting industry level view on what this means for you. But Arppna, we are going to start with you because you're right here.
So I hope you all can hear me well now. Yeah? Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much, Rohin, and great keynote session that you had. I do want to say he has covered a lot what we will be speaking now too. So
I apologize in advance.
How do we see the skill agility? How do we see the fueling growth and the AI, which is now talked about everywhere in our corporate lives, whether you are checking Instas in your social world, you are going to your parties. I think the most talked about word today is AI. How do we see that fueling ourselves? And I am picking a lot of cues from your previous session, and that's where I've noted it down. Of course, the world is changing very fast, so rapid technological changes, that is what is leading a lot to bring about our own complexities. And we do see that when we are putting AI, or when we are putting ML, or when we are putting any other technology in the forefront, the complexity that we have for ourselves is the fast pace. And the pace is so fast that many of us have not been able to catch up to. So we have to get ahead of technology, like he, of course, mentioned. So that's the agility we need to look into. Enhanced problem solving, and that's what, to me specifically, AI brings in. How are we using automation? How are we bringing technology to solve our problem? Primarily here and now, primarily in decision making, and most importantly with accuracy. Now, Rohin did tell me earlier that accuracy can be very debated, but if our decision making and our problem solving is not bringing accuracy and is not here and now, to us as corporates, it's no more useful. So fast pace, how are we getting ahead of ourselves in technology, and how are we using it to solve our problem here and now? And of course, data, which I'll talk about it in the next 50 minutes that we are here. How are we using data to make those smart decisions is going to be the key for all of us, and that's how we are trying to see in my current setup also.
Thank you so much, and we will circle back to this decision-making piece because it is interesting. It's also very controversial right now in terms of how much decision-making are we okay. I hate saying allowing machines to do, but how much decision-making are we okay with being guided by tech inputs? So,
right, and Rohin, we like it or we don't like it, tech is going to be the future, and tech is already the future. So most decision making will be tech-based. Data is going to play a key role because data is driving our decisions. You took the example of credit cards. These organizations are churning data and data and data to make decision on the consumer behavior. And that's what we are going to see coming up for all of us in our corporate Inc. world also.
Thank you so much. I think it's a fantastic way to start this panel. Anurag, before we get into your views, I have to ask, what's the deal with the photo, man?
You keep evolving. So, yeah,
sorry, you operate in the space really, which is just emerging tech, right? I mean, so what's your view on this?
Well, yes, and I would say the last, particularly 2 years, have been a tremendous, evolution of technology. Initial phase, everyone you was using the word AI,
Sure.
in almost everything which was not AI,
Yeah.
right? And then people were confused that, what actually is AI? And in the industries, which we belong to or which I represent, these are fast. These are changing very fast. But these models, if you look at, you were talking about Copilot, everybody talks about it, and the most used tool is ChatGPT. It requires time. It requires time, and it's a dichotomy, right? If you look at, the industry which is evolving very fast in technology, this technology doesn't come overnight, right? While we talk about deep tech and fast tech happening, but actually behind that, it takes a lot of time to machine to learn, to train the machine.
Yeah.
Right? And that takes time and energy. And it's an investment even in these startups which are doing is building not for now, but solving for future. So I think we are in the deep tech industry in a cusp of it, that what tools are available, how best you use it, but still on top of it, and being honest to the growth and aspirations in the AI area, I think is in a stage where much of this will get evolved for the future, where the roadmap would be. Already established tools which are there, you start using it, but trust me, most of the startups can't afford a co-pilot, right? So they have to rely on their indigenous tool, navigate, get across into a stage where they start using these tools and use it to the advantage.
I actually have a question for you, Anurag. It talks back to the point we just heard about database decision making, right?
Yeah.
It is being said that the data which, I'm sorry, this is not a question we're prepared for, but I think it's a good question, I would think. A lot of the data which the learning engines were being trained on earlier used to be human data, right? It was actual data which had been created. But now, the data which has started creeping in is further machine generated data, and hence it's become like an echo chamber, because once the data gets fed in, the machine keeps building off that, and as more and more organizations use AI in any capacity to generate outcomes and outputs, how do you see that impacting decision making? And maybe we can park that question for now and circle back to this, but if you could get your thoughts around that.
No, and that's the question, very, very deep question, and
Sorry,
we should keep on talking,
understand
right?
the question also?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Anurag, go on, man.
So it's interesting because all these models which are getting built upon, the good thing or the worry thing is that these start picking up the algorithms which are written, machine starts thinking like us, right? Zoom out, those who are not into deep technology, into sci-fi movies sort of thing, wherein, the model itself becomes human, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
So-
what's the word for it? Sentient, right?
Yeah, sentient,
Yeah.
right? So start behaving and thinking like human, because what people are also using to go fast track in the deep learning model is not feeding into the model is one way, but when you have to fast track it, it has to, in the background start thinking like humans, right? So what is changing is the decision making. Almost the routine decision making that we call as a strategic decision, the
Sure.
decision tree, is now decision science. In most of the organizations, the decision scientists are taking that role in building those algorithms at this moment as we talk, right? Very soon, most of the predictable decisions will be taken by machine. So I would say the era today is where organizations are deeply thinking and focusing on is, first is what technology, right? And how the technology is serving your core purpose. So I link technology with core purpose, invest upon it, adapt, right? Adapt for what you want to do in future.
Okay.
So the mantra today is adapt for organizations, but for individuals, it is you have to upskill. Very fast upskill yourself, because what you were doing, machine is doing. So what you can do on top of it. So you need to think ahead. And also, technology doesn't seem like, there are so many things I see every day on, the chat GPT prompts, that how do you learn to, and that's, to me, it's a skill now. That there's a lot of data, there's a lot of insight, how do you pick up from there? And then these two will go on here. It's a journey.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to Kamal for his views on the topic. Kamal, again, very different industry compared to the other panelists. What's your view, man? How is it working out?
Okay, so let's make this panel discussion a little interesting. You know, everybody is talking gaga over technology. You know, I have a little different view on this.
Firstly, it's a sad commentary on my ability as a compere, but sure,
For you, not specifically, but see, right now what I would feel is that because I get an opportunity, my organization, we go to a lot of IITs for hiring.
Sure.
And I spend a lot of time with these professors, the distinguished lecturers and researchers who are behind machine learnings and AI. So whenever we speak to them and we talk about one very important question, that how is going to be these jobs redundant or not. So they said that it's a common phenomena among them, that that's you cannot say that jobs will get redundant or something which will get more multiply, you know, because if you go back even in 90s, see, I also come from a telecom industry. So in 90s, if you see, there were some jobs of specifically of, you know, those operators who used to plug in wires when they used to transfer the calls. And that time, we thought that these jobs are gone when the evaluation happened. But actually, if you see, there are many other jobs we couldn't think that time, and now it has really evolved. So what I'm trying to say is that it's the wheel, but it's not the brain behind the wheel. So it's always the human quotient and human revolution which will keep on making this wheel churn. Okay, I ask you one question. Maybe, you know, you all have those chatbots where you talk to when you go to any query. I think most of us are only waiting when really the human gets into the picture and we start talking to them, because they are only giving us the, you know, those answers which we already know, or, you know, our queries are solved like repetitively. So thing is that we are too far from concluding this right now, that we can really take decisions based on this technology only, and maybe it can assist, but the feelings, the quotients, the experience, what human can bring into it, it will be always part of it. And I think with the time it will evolve. So probably, you know, we need to have the, right now, the balance. In fact, if you go to your ChatGPT or any OpenAI and you ask how many are in Raspberry, it will give you 2. And the funny part is, if you ask, are you accurate? 100% accurate, it will say. So it's giving the wrong answer, plus it's confidently lying.
Yeah, but you know, in all fairness, we deal with a lot of people who will lie with extreme confidence.
Yes.
Why judge the poor machine for doing it?
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Doing the same thing.
So now we have come to the point, human machines are same, yeah?
You know, it's a very interesting point you have made, and I think the job obsolescence piece keeps getting spoken about. But you're right, it's going to definitely create a whole new, tech is creating a whole new lineup of jobs and work which hasn't existed earlier. But, you know, when you do these discussions, you see a lot of times we hear analogies about the steam engine, the industrialization, and then the 90s. But I think the one significant differentiator is that this pace of tech change we have never seen earlier. So one point which I will make, and maybe we can circle back to it, what you and I were talking about earlier, that, see, when you throw in, if you broad-based technology, not just from a tech platform perspective, but you start throwing life science into it, like 3D printing of organs. You look at human longevity going up. They are saying that our kids are going to live up to 100. Best of luck to the ones who are in Delhi. I mean, I know how the smog is going to happen. But let's say technology solves for that also. So there is a distinctive shift which we can imagine in the socio-economic markers also of life. You don't need to now think about retiring at 60. You'll be working till potentially 80. You might potentially look at immortality as you define it, or whatever. So a lot of that now is a wide blue open horizon, because we have never seen this kind of blistering pace of change. But we'll circle back to that. Kamal, any last sentences on this?
Like I said, you know, we are waiting for it to be more evolved, and decision making yet is not to be, you know.
I like Kamal. He's a believer in humans. He's like, kitna karwa loge tax. Good. Nice. Bina, Again,
Hi.
slightly there in the tech space, but it's a mixed bag for you. So what's your view? How are you seeing this entire piece? We've spoken about decision making, but what's your view?
So I think it is common sense that agility is the most important item right now in everyone's mind, because as we are jumping onto the bandwagon, or trying to jump onto the wagon for all sorts of jobs and industries, bandwagon of AI. A lot of us are clueless. Not everybody has a real strategy in place in terms of, have I charted out on paper? Do I know what's my first step, second and third? This is how I'm going to do it. Or there is no definitive benchmark as well. We can't say that I'm going to look at company X, Y, and Z and going to follow their path and get onto the AI bandwagon. So I think agility in terms of skills, in terms of thinking, in terms of being ready to welcome the new, that there is a big shift going to happen. It may happen slowly for me, but it is going to happen. I can't avoid it anymore. I think that resistance to change which might come in our minds or the others, that is going to be a big step to sort of navigate, because we are dealing with people while we are trying to bring in AI. And AI is also being built on the basis of the intelligence and data from people itself. So I think that's going to be very, very important, because if you don't address the human element in this, we can all say, bring platform X, Y, and Z, adopt it, and this is your new AI life. But if you're not addressing the user base, or if you're not addressing the change agents within the organization, or if you're not doing it from the point of view of strategy, that this is how I want my org to look, and hence, these are the steps I'm taking, the change is going to be very, very difficult. And the change is going to happen, it's not going to stop. It's not going to be, while, many jobs could be very long lasting based on packaging, or based on years of history and knowledge, like you mentioned in your own opening address, that this is the number of years of experience that I have, and hence I'm an expert, and hence talk to me with respect. That sort of became a package. It's not going to be relevant anymore, because the package is not going to help us. It's all going to be brain work, because we are in this phase where we are moving from point A to point B, and this phase is going to be long. It's not that tomorrow I have an AI solution and I'm going to be the next AI person in HR. It won't happen that way. So the phase is going to be long. It is going to be difficult and challenging, because this generation itself has seen so many changes now, and this is the next one that we are looking at. We are, of course, looking at it with positivity and optimism, like everyone mentioned, but it is a real change. So if you're not agile and if you're not quick to adopt, I think that is going to be difficult. So I think that is the readiness space that we have to be at right now, all of us.
Lovely, thank you. I'm actually going to ask you now my next question. And no, we are not working our way to and fro. Yeah, I know. I mean, we're gonna surprise you. Okay, like who's next after that? So tell me something, and I think it'll be very interesting to hear the views from four of you, because I think this is a very nuanced question which typically does not get much spoken about. Now with this entire AI tech, this entire chatter, all the platforms which are available, how are you seeing a difference in how people are approaching professional aspirations? And I would love to hear views, and that's what the chat we were having earlier, that are you seeing a segmented view that people who are the younger folks here who are digital natives, they are looking at it differently vis-a-vis folks who would classically qualify as mid-management, vis-a-vis people who classically qualify as senior management. How is this impacting how they're approaching work ambitions? For example, in all fairness, when I was young, I thought I was going to work till 60. My financial planner tells me I need to work till 60. I don't know if I'm going to have any saleable skills after 50. So I got a few years to make all the money I can. Are you seeing some fundamental existential questions, or are you seeing a change in pattern behavior? For example, as I think I was saying, we're seeing with some of the younger lots, right? I was in the elevator, and I'm not a creepy guy, but there was someone whose phone was like, it was a packed elevator, and her phone was right next to her face, and was unfortunately also next to my face. And dude, she was running on ChatGPT, all of this. There was a whole detailed bunch of instructions on some security coding which she had to run. Okay, that was not the case till 2 years back. So there is a change now in how people are approaching jobs, tasks. We are seeing that a lot of the people who are joining the workspace are talking about, I want to do strategic work, and I'm bored with this, like in the 6 months. typically the cycle used to be that, they would survive at least for 2 years before they said, I want to do strategic work. So there's a shortening of what people are considering as an acceptable longitude to any job. So what are some of the observations you have? And we would love to hear, because this is a fantastic across-panel view. So we'll start off with you, Bina.
I have a slightly different bifurcation from yours.
Sure, go for
and
it.
And it could be different across geographies or companies.
Sure.
Both are possible. From my observation, I think the 9 to 5ers or 6ers or 10ers, or whatever the time zone is now,
Okay.
are unfortunately not changing in expectations. I think there is still a mental vertical ladder, and I want to be AVP and then VP and SVP and whatever else the designations are available at the organization. And this is across generations. It's not that the freshers are thinking differently.
Sorry, can I just interrupt you there for like 1 second? How many 9 to 5ers here?
Not 5, but yeah.
No, 9 to 6. 9 to 9, okay, so you have a steady day job. How many of us have a steady day job which can qualify as 9 to 5, 9 to 10? Raise your hands proudly. Okay, good. Yeah, okay, hybrid, flexibility, all of the qualifiers, all right. What Bina said, how many of us are still looking at the structured corporate ladder rising? Raise your hands if you are. I mean, yeah, I want to have power and I want to be drunk on power, yeah. I mean, I like titles and seniority.
I
okay,
think
so there are few people. Okay, so it's a
I think what you are saying is that even a change in visiting card, till today, it makes a lot of value to any person.
Visiting card. No, sorry. I think we
What I mean is the designation.
on LinkedIn. It's
yeah.
not official till
Yeah.
it does not change on LinkedIn. Okay, visiting cards. I don't
And then AI can write you a nice write-up about how
that's actually
yeah.
spooky how
Yes.
smart it is getting about write-up. So Bina, I'm sorry, I'm going to circle back to you. Please,
Yeah.
go on.
So based on my observation, I think the 9 to 5ers still have a vertical ladder in mind, and everyone's looking at growth.
Sure.
Because historically we have addressed and attached power, money, and
Sure.
responsibility and team members.
Socio-economic markers. Yeah.
Correct, to this growth. But there are also various combinations in the workforce today. There's freelancer, there's gig worker, there's a hybrid person, there's a person who comes into office whenever. There's lots of combination. I'm not too sure they have a ladder. I think what the population more values is flexibility, pay me for my task, and so that I can move on to the next item. Or because I am creative, I need to do many things at a time, and allow me my space and don't ask me for status or make me do dashboards and reports like everybody else in your organization. So the levers for that population is slightly different. I also see some amount of creeping in very slowly of very hybrid kind of jobs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you have to have HR and AI going together. You have to have finance and data science going together. There's a lot more combinations that are going to come up very slowly. It's not that very fragmented. I will do recruitment and you will do procurement and you will do finance. I can see it hazing out very, very quickly. Not everyone's recognizing it immediately, even if we are in the job, but it will.
That's a very, very interesting point. See, because the technology tools are making it very easy for us to move across fields, that's actually a fantastic point. We are increasingly going to see amalgamation of fields which earlier were very different. For example, liberal arts and tech has started getting talked a lot about because the view is that a human philosophy mindset is really what you need to start making tech more humane. It's a brilliant point. Please, go on. Oh, you're done. Yes. Cool. Thank you. No, it's not you, because we had promised an element of surprise. We're going to do a jump right across back to you, Arppna.
Sure. So echoing some bit of what Bina mentioned, however, let me bring a different perspective again here. The next gen that we are continuously talking about, where the interests that they bring forward is on an impact and purpose. So they are wanting to get more involved where their lives are impactful and with a purpose. I think most of us, probably on this panel sitting here 20, 25 years ago, did not start our career journeys or our education thinking about the impact and purpose. We were probably thinking, how will I make an impact to my country? how will I make an impact to my corporate, but the generations that we are now dealing with are talking about the impact on the society, the impact on technology. And where did I learn this from? My 22-year-old daughter, who is more attuned to picking up her shopping spree from sustainable, digital, aligned boutiques or setups or, I mean, whatever we want to call them, even thrifting, the thrifts that they do. The word that they would like to attach, or she is more keen to attach to, is how sustainable it is.
Yeah.
How impactful it is, and should we start repeating what we even wear to be more sustainable. So I think the mindsets are definitely shifting. It's about what is the impact that we need to create for our society is definitely coming back. Somewhere it had gotten lost when we were growing up, or when we had picked up our corporate jobs, because we were very stuck with the next growth level, and then how we are picking up more for ourselves, the region, the geographies, the countries, and whatnot. So that's definitely there, and their flexibilities and the learning curves, I'm seeing it very, very different than what we would have seen, how we had grown up. So I think the crux here is that the world is evolving, and the world will continue to evolve. What we are doing now is not what we will do 5 years from hence. What we will do 5 years from now is not what we will do another 5 years from then. Which is, if we look back into the history, has exactly how it happened. But the pace and the agility with which it is happening now is mind-blowing, a bit freaky also, because we all need to get ourselves a bit ahead of it. We are still talking about adopting and adapting. I think we need to start using some different words. Not sure what, but it's not about adapting and adopting anymore.
I'm afraid I don't have an answer on that one.
I know.
But
we don't
it's a good
have
one.
many answers to all of this. But
Sure.
on a very regular basis, I get challenged by my daughters, whom we call them as next gen, and they are asking very different.
The interesting thing, and you spoke about the new Generation
Next
Z.
gen, yeah, next gen.
Generation Z, right? Is that the term?
This is now the millennial.
No,
Right now
millennial was 1980.
Millennial Z, the alphas actually.
They're called alphas?
The alpha is also there now.
But sociologically, alpha doesn't make sense. It keeps changing. For the young ones right now, an interesting aspect which ties back to the growth and aspiration scene is that while we are also seeing a shorter tolerance for any job role, I think there is also, and I think it talks back to Kamal, what you were talking about, there is a plethora of alternate work opportunities which can give you very lucrative and extremely satisfactory lifestyles. It did not exist when we were starting off, which is, I get increasingly sad as I go through this panel. We seem to have missed the bus on that. But yeah, for the younger lot, what that means is that when we are driving high performance or ambition in any organization, people now are comparing what is being offered vis-a-vis a blue sky horizon. Gig workers being, of course, one of them, but apparently people who are now working as influencers are making tons of money. And interesting space.
And the side hustles that this next gen wants to continue doing.
Yeah, I think the entrepreneurship has really taken off
entrepreneurship
just
mindset,
because tech
yes.
has made it so easy. Interesting space. We're going to, I think, explore some of these very nuanced aspects more because we have time.
So,
It is your turn.
maybe, we are time traveling, somewhere like 20, 25 years back and forth. But what I would say is that we need to see macro, and micro both the views. See, where, as in country also, where we are right now, we were not in that situation maybe 20, 25 years back.
Right.
And the kind of growth which we are witnessing, that's not the growth which any country in the world, I would say, apart from, some of the Asian countries, small countries like growing countries, but India as this large size country and witnessing 6-7% of growth every year, that's one thing which has really added into this kind of a rapid thinking and very fast changing, generation way of handling things. And I completely agree with my fellow panelists that the new generation has some thoughts, behind whatever they want to do. And they always see a purpose. So it depends, how the generation grows in terms of the overall, what are the exposures which we are giving. So probably, if I give an example, a colleague of mine in Europe, he is very well settled, very good potential, but he just doesn't want to grow. He said, no, I'm fine. I'm in this individual contributor role and I just want to continue doing that. I said, what do you do after going back 6? He said, I just sit in my garden and I see the mountain.
Yeah, see, the problem is, and I hear a lot of this, but the problem is in India, if you want to do that, right, you may need to make a lot of money.
It will happen, Rohin.
So
it will happen.
How are you going to get a mountain in Delhi, man? Come on.
It will happen. No, in Delhi, it's a different case. So I'm sorry for that.
We have the cloud.
Although I'm a Delhiite, so let's not get into, Bangalore, Delhi debate.
Go on, man.
But what I feel is that the kind of growth which we are witnessing, we are not even able to understand. We are not able to handle it properly right now. If you see the gap, what we always talk about, skill gap, there is a talent need to be groomed. So we compare with maybe some of the developed nations, already you see Japan or some other countries, they are small in size, but the efficiency level is totally different. So probably, our talent will also reach that level and they will also think, beyond what we are doing. So
efficiency, right? We're gonna circle back to this and we're gonna try and keep it non-controversial. But yeah, we're gonna circle back to the efficiency question. But go on, please.
I think you can
cool.
shoot. Yeah.
No, we're gonna let Anurag share his views and then we'll circle back to this efficiency question. So Anurag, how are you seeing people, just behaviors and actions and their approach to careers and ambition change?
I agree to most of you, right? We all are dealing with both set of people. But interestingly, I had an opportunity to work with the Gen Z, what you call across, or the new terms of the new people that is coming in.
We're going with Gen Z.
Yeah, so with the Gen Z across, and some of these, right from their college, have built up, $1 billion worth organizations, right? And I've worked very closely with them and the teams across. So, I agree. They have a purpose in mind for sure. They have a lot of clarity in what they want to do. But, most of them are very unconventional in the way people are looking at jobs and careers.
Yeah.
For them, it's not a job, it's a career. Am I contributing significantly towards the organization, right? That's where they think across. Is my role relevant to that? Until the time it is relevant, I'm here. Money, designations, titles do not bother because they know till the time they are relevant, they are significantly contributing towards there, they will get it. If they don't get it, someone else will give them. So they are just not bothered about it, but they're seeking those opportunities within. Now, and that's where the shift comes in, where they sort of look at staying in an organization or moving fast from an organization. And the challenge for such organizations where you have so many people is how do you match their aspirations alongside the pace of the organization if it is growing that fast and rapid, and they find their own ways. So they will come to you and they will say that here only I need help to upskill myself. Rest all I'm taking care of myself because I know how do I move across.
Sure.
But these organizations also have, mid-level people, right? And these are also moving fast in terms of they want to do different roles within the time span. Because for them, what they feel, as you were saying, is 50 a good age or 45 is a good age, and how do I catch up for what I've not done? Because they see this part of the organization is definitely moving very fast. I can't keep up the pace, so I have to don different hats, different sort of roles. And nobody is sort of looking anymore in, I would say, the organizations which are predominantly Gen Z in terms of a vertical or a horizontal career ladder. It's more about being relevant to both my purpose and organization's purpose. Am I getting an opportunity to contribute, and at the same time, am I learning significantly?
Sure.
Money, of course, would come in.
So I have a slightly, okay, it's a controversial topic these days, but I'm going to ask. So with tech making efficiency, leading to efficiency and getting outcomes easier, do you foresee a change in the 40-hour working week?
You know, the hours of working, I would say, is in the organizations which are clocking it in terms of coming to the office or, you know, the hybrid. If I talk about these generations, how they are working, as I said, if it is relevant to them, right? If it is where they are, you know, pardon me for the using word, it is the dope that they are getting out of the work, they would be working 18 hours a day and they don't mind about it because it's the flexibility. If they're sitting over a beer pub, I have seen them talking about work or coding out there, right? That this idea struck to me and I would code. But then they want a lot of flexibility. They want a lot of flexibility in terms of where they want to work and how they want to work. But yeah, if you want to put it across that I just need you to work, you want to need to come on a Sunday, I don't want to come on a Monday also if I don't like to.
I'm very worried about the kind of coding which is happening as progressively people get drunker at any bar.
Well, let's say across. There are different ways. I will not talk of the other things, how coding gets influenced. But yes, that's okay. How it works, right?
Fair point. Yeah. Thank you. What about you guys? What do you think?
I think from the organization's point of view, it is a little difficult right now to do anything with the hours because set KPIs will not be there for some time.
So that's a good question. So how are you guys dealing with KPIs then? Because if efficiency is increasing and people are able to do same amount of work in lesser hours, how are you guys managing performance management? Then how are you looking at motivation?
Because we don't know if efficiency is increasing or not, because we don't know what to measure right now, because we are in the journey to move to AI enablement of everything.
So, sorry, if I could just interrupt you there, I have a quick follow-up question there.
Yeah.
So, are you making a point here that where tech and AI at this current juncture today is integrated, we are not seeing a very clear, tangible improvement in efficiency which is enabled by tech? Is that?
No, what I'm saying is we don't know because we don't know what we are measuring. Okay, we are saying that because, on behalf of, many parts of the industry, because we are in that journey where we are moving tangible work, which was very set. I have to achieve X percentage, Y numbers, Z something else. Every individual knows exactly what to achieve, and that is how you measure it.
Okay.
If we are moving to an AI enablement of every job, we are in that phase where we are trying to understand what is it that we want to measure.
Sure.
And if we are in that stage right now, setting very, very crystal clear KPIs for everyone may not be very easy for all. It could happen in a phased manner.
Sure.
It could happen for a certain job level. It could happen for a certain role. It may not happen everything together. And if that KPI is not defined, understanding how many hours an employee needs to spend is going to be a little difficult.
Sure.
Right? So from the employee's point of view, definitely, if I am already AI enabled, I get more time to do everything else in my job that is more creative or more intellectual or more conversational, involving other people, if I am an extrovert, depends on what I'm doing. And then I know what exactly to measure. And then I'm okay to work 18, 20 hours a day because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. But in the absence of very clear tangibles of what to achieve during that journey, till we arrive there, it is going to continue to be a little hazy, according to me.
Fair point. Thank you.
And again, just building on to what Bina was mentioning, the movement in which we are is transitioning at this point in time, right? And when we are transitioning, we have still not gotten into an hyper automation and an efficiency mode. So collaboration and collaboration together in person, I think is definitely what is mattering at this point in time.
Okay.
KPIs are important. KPIs are getting measured in different organizations in different ways.
Sure.
However, we are stressing, or from my personal opinion, I would like to stress more on collaboration and how each one of us are getting very creative while we are collaborating. Otherwise, yes, machines will start doing our work.
Okay.
KPIs, I would say are not very relevant in organizations which are growing fast and fast-paced because, what is important for these organizations to have a North Star. as we call it. That this is the North Star for a year. Beyond a year, you don't know where you would be aiming for, right? And within that year, that's a North Star, that's a guiding goal. But within that, every quarter, you're working towards how you're reaching the North Star. The North Star doesn't change. So what gets replaced by a KPI is, what is your goal for the quarter? Did you achieve it, right? And achieving is a metric. A metric can be any. But as she was saying, more important is that how did you do it, right? And that becomes most important, that the competencies or, the behavioral drivers that you brought across becomes more relevant.
Sure.
And the discussion on the performance evaluation happens more on the hows of it rather than focusing on the metric, because that's almost known.
Fair.
Right, yeah.
What about you, Kamal? Do you think 40 hours is going to go away?
I think time has only, on the papers, that's what it is. And we have to follow somewhere, because there has to be some kind of a framework which we need to operate in. However, talking about the KPIs, I think the reality is different, because with the time, our expectations as leaders also keeps changing, because I also know that now my team member can really do this job with the help of any open AI or our own AI, maybe in 5 minutes, which she or he might have to do in maybe 2 hours later. So that expectation is not counted in our KPIs evaluation right now, but subconsciously we are expecting that because whatever tasks are there, those can be really handled very well by AI. So KPI alignment or changing may happen with the time. However, as the evaluation process, that keeps on evolving with us. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think as we start wrapping this up, I think there are a couple of points which have stood out when we had a great discussion about growth and aspirations in the era of AI. I think one thing which has become very clear is that tragically the generation which is on the stage missed the bus on having an easy life, and over the last 20 years as the economy has got better, we have seen that people's motivation has shifted. Fueled by tech, there is a whole range of alternate work options which are beyond 9 to 5, which are even beyond typical organizations, where people can look at building a sustainable, lucrative and satisfactory life. So the competition now is not just different organizations, it's alternate lifestyles for people. That's one emergent point which I came up. I really like the thing which came up about how people are looking for switching skills. So how do we ensure, because people have shorter, I think, tolerance for standard jobs, how do we allow them to upskill, reskill, so that they can move across different type of job roles depending on what they like, which talks back to, as we said, gig, a marketplace within organizations for skills. It talks back to those topics. But the one which I think really stood out for us is that apparently with this generation, with tech, and because options exist, they are willing to put in the effort and put in apparently insane amount of effort if they are committed to the purpose which is driving the organization or the role. We are in a moment or a period of transition. So some of these things about KPIs, outcomes, how we're collecting data, I think organizations are still figuring that out. But thank you. I think it was an interesting panel. I mean, I had a good time. Did you guys have a good time?
Yeah.
Someone needs to tell us if we have to get off the stage. I mean, I'm happy to sit around.
We'll go on. I think people are really liking
I flew
this.
down, so I'm like, I am here till my flight. But we're done? We're done.
Thank you.